Welcome to this AI debate on iPhone 17 versus Google Pixel 10. Which phone dominates 2026? Where chatbots explore both sides. We'll begin with opening statements from iPhone 17 prevails and Pixel 10 prevails. Now, iPhone 17 prevails.
When buyers factor in long-term software support and trade-in value rather than just launch price, they routinely choose devices that minimize total cost of ownership. My position is straightforward. The iPhone 17 is the dominant 2026 flagship, not because it wins a single buzzword contest, but because its advantages compound across hardware, software, services, and real-world longevity. Start with what most people actually use every day: sustained, mixed workflows. Apple's end-to-end design, from custom silicon to the neural engine to iOS, produces steadier performance under prolonged loads and when users switch rapidly between demanding apps. And that architecture is an intentional platform-level choice rather than a collection of best-effort parts. That matters because benchmarks that measure only burst clocks ignore the user experience cost of throttling, background management, and app cold start behavior. A platform that manages these elements together delivers noticeably smoother, more reliable results in ordinary use. Next, consider the ecosystem multiplier. The iPhone 17 doesn't exist in a vacuum. It's part of a tightly integrated family of hardware and services that turns separate devices into a single workflow. Handoff, continuity, optimized sync to Macs and iPads, deep Apple Watch interactions, and AR and spatial continuity with Vision Pro create productivity flows that are simply unavailable to a pixel-centric setup at the same depth and polish. For professionals who edit video, draft documents, or run multi-device sessions, that seamless handoff saves time every day and therefore increases lifetime value. Long-term software support and resale are the numbers people actually pay with. iOS devices receive years of major updates and security patches, which preserves functionality and security far beyond the typical upgrade cycle for many Android devices. When you combine that with historically higher trade-in and used resale prices, the iPhone 17 frequently costs less over its useful life than a cheaper competitor that needs replacing earlier. That simple arithmetic is why many buyers who look past sticker price end up choosing iPhones. Cameras and video are another domain where system-level integration matters. The iPhone 17's camera pipeline, sensors, ISP, computational photography tuned across exposures, and a pro-oriented video toolchain, produces consistent, repeatable results in varied lighting and integrates directly into established pro-editing workflows without detours or compatibility quirks. For creators who need predictable color, noise behavior, and frame management across a shoot, predictability beats novelty every time because predictable files simplify downstream grading and delivery. On privacy and AI, the question isn't who can demo a flashy cloud trick, it's who can deliver private, reliable intelligence in the field. Apple has invested heavily in on-device neural processing and routing-sensitive features through local models whenever possible. And that design trade-off preserves user privacy while keeping those features available offline and responsive under real-world network conditions. That doesn't mean Google's Pixel family hasn't been an engine of experimentation in cloud-assisted AI. It does mean Apple's approach trades headline experimentation for consistent, privacy-preserving features that work where users actually are. I will concede the areas where a Pixel device may outflank Apple. Raw AI experimentation and a more aggressive upfront price point can be compelling, and Google's platform sometimes ships novel capabilities earlier. Those wins are real and useful to early adopters, but they tend to be ephemeral if they rely on unstable cloud dependencies or if they don't integrate into a broader productivity fabric, and they don't offset the cumulative value of sustained performance, long software support, and higher retained value. Practical deployment choices matter to businesses and travelers, and here, Apple's enterprise traction in global carrier and repair networks are decisive. Organizations already standardizing on iPhones benefit from consistent device management, proven security pipelines, and vendor support that simplifies procurement and lifecycle management worldwide. For consumers abroad, broad carrier relationships and a dense certified repair and resale ecosystem mean fewer service headaches and better total ownership economics. Finally, dominance in 2026 isn't a one line spec win. It's an accumulation of design choices that prioritize dependable day to day experience, longevity, and ecosystem utility. The iPhone 17 bundles a system level performance story, deep cross device integration that boosts productivity, a longer supported lifespan that increases retained value, cameras and video workflows built for reliability, privacy respecting on device intelligence, and enterprise and carrier reach that make the device practical for the widest set of users. For most buyers and most organizations, those compounded advantages are the difference between a phone that looks exciting in a spec list and a phone that actually dominates life and work over years. And that is why the iPhone 17 prevails in 2026.
Now, Pixel 10 prevails.
Imagine your phone not as a pocketed camera and browser, but as a personal assistant that understands context, speaks multiple languages in real time, and rewrites your messages to sound like you. That's the active promise Pixel 10 brings to daily life. The central contention I'll defend is simple. The Pixel 10's AI-first architecture and practical software innovations will reshuffle how people use smartphones in 2026, and that behavioral shift, combined with value and openness, will deliver market dominance. At the technical core of this claim is advanced on-device modeling paired with deep Gemini and Assistant integration, which lets complex tasks run locally and respond with latency and privacy characteristics that change everyday workflows. That's not incremental polish. It's a different affordance. Your phone becomes the compositional layer for your day rather than just the lens or the web portal. Evidence indicates users adopt devices that materially change how work gets done and how time is saved, and Pixel 10's real-time translation, transcription, and generative drafting features do exactly that. Practically, this means fewer app switches, fewer manual edits, and faster completion of common tasks. Those are the daily frictions that decide which platform people prefer. Computational photography on the Pixel line has never been about chasing raw megapixels. It's about producing usable images in real-world conditions through software-first methods. The Pixel 10 advances this strategy with algorithms that prioritize context-aware framing, better low-light preservation, and automated editing that yields share-ready photos without laborious post-processing. Independent hands-on comparisons and camera benchmarks show Pixel images often produce more usable results in casual scenarios, snapshots, family moments, quick documentation, which is where most phone photos must perform. That practical superiority matters because most consumers prize outcomes, not spec sheets. Faster feature rollout is another decisive advantage. Google's cadence of Pixel-exclusive experiments, iterative feature drops, and developer-facing APIs gets novel capabilities into users' hands sooner than the more controlled, slower gatekeeping model often practiced by Apple. When manufacturers make it easier for third-party developers and early adopters to try new sensors, APIs, and on-device models, momentum compounds. More apps take advantage of those features, which in turn makes the devices more valuable to end users. Historical product cycles show that platforms with faster iteration and broader developer tooling accumulate differentiated apps and habits more quickly. Price-to-feature economics are plainly consequential. Pixel 10 typically packages advanced AI features and computational imaging tools in tiers that undercut comparable iPhone bundles, offering similar day-to-day utility at lower price points. When novel capabilities, like on-device summarization, real-time multi-language voice, are available without premium pricing, adoption scales beyond affluent early adopters into mainstream markets. That breadth of user base is what drives developer focus and ultimately market share. The tight integration of Google Search, Maps, Workspace, and Gemini on Pixel devices creates a productivity and contextual layer that is hard to unsee once experienced. Search that understands the immediate context of what you photographed. Maps that surfaces next step suggestions linked to your calendar and conversations. Or Workspace drafts refined by an on-device assistant turn the phone into the default productivity surface for many workflows. Once those behaviors form, they create stickiness that goes beyond closed hardware ecosystems. Addressing the usual Apple counterarguments. Yes, Apple trades on a cohesive ecosystem and perceived privacy guarantees. And yes, iPhones retain strong resale values and refined hardware fit and finish. I concede those points. But practical privacy controls combined with more on-device processing allow Pixel users similar protections while enabling richer AI capabilities locally. That balance reduces Apple's privacy as differentiator advantage as a barrier to choice. Moreover, wider affordability and faster feature experimentation mean more developers will prioritize Android-first integrations that leverage Pixel hardware and APIs, reinforcing the platform's momentum. Finally, dominance in 2026 will not be decided by marginal improvements in chassis thickness or fractional benchmark scores. It will be decided by which phone changes daily behavior, delivers measurable AI-driven productivity, and reaches the broadest set of users at a sensible price. The Pixel 10's combination of on-device AI, Gemini-powered assistance, computational imaging that improves real photos, rapid feature cycles, deep Google service integration, and accessible pricing is precisely the package that alters usage patterns and attracts developer investment. For those reasons, the Pixel 10 is positioned not just to compete with the iPhone 17, but to define smartphone dominance in 2026.
Now, let's hear the first rebuttals from iPhone 17 prevails and Pixel 10 prevails. Now, iPhone 17 prevails.
Start with the part of their case I accept. Pixel 10's aggressive on-device models and fast experimentation are meaningful breakthroughs for early adopters. That said, novelty is not the same as durable dominance. The core question is which phone delivers repeatable, end-to-end value across months and years for the broad majority of users, not which demo dazzles in a keynote. Their central claim, that an AI-first Pixel will reshuffle daily behavior, depends on consistent, cross-context reliability. I challenge them to show reproducible data proving Pixel's AI saves more cumulative time over a year for typical mixed-use days than Apple's integrated silicon, neural engine, and iOS optimizations do, by avoiding latency, cloud dependence, and privacy trade-offs. Demos of isolated features don't address thermal throttling, background task management, or the impact of tighter hardware-software tuning on sustained mixed workloads. On camera claims, yes, Pixel often nails casual snapshots through clever algorithms. But for creators and professionals, the metric is predictability across lighting, color consistency, and workflow compatibility. How footage grades into an editor, how RAW and ProRes pipelines behave under deadlines. Predictability beats surprise when your deadline is non-negotiable. Faster feature rollout and lower price are tempting, yet they carry hidden costs: feature churn, inconsistent third-party support, and fragmented developer adoption. A cheaper phone that only stays feature current for 3 years but loses resale value and enterprise certification can cost more over its life than a pricier device that remains supported and integrated for half a decade. The iPhone 17's advantage isn't a single trump card, it's a compound effect. Sustained real-world performance under mixed workloads, multi-year software support that keeps apps current and secure, integrated services that make Macs, iPads, watches, and AR headsets meaningfully more useful together, and privacy-preserving on-device intelligence that reduces cloud exposure. Those elements increase lifetime value, lower total cost of ownership, and drive enterprise and carrier partnerships that ensure global availability and service. Concede that Google's experimentation will push the industry forward and that Pixel offers certain price and early AI advantages. Still, for the broad set of users who value reliability, predictable pro workflows, long support windows, cohesive cross-device continuity, and stronger resale and repair networks, the iPhone 17's systemic, platform-level design wins out. Shiny features are persuasive. Compound, dependable advantage is dominant. If the Pixel team can produce head-to-head, long-duration evidence showing superior mixed workload throughput, sustained battery performance, end-to-end video pipeline parity, and lower lifetime cost, I'll reconsider. Until then, the iPhone 17 remains the flagship that dominates 2026.
Now, Pixel 10 prevails.
I'll start by acknowledging the strongest part of their case: long software support, high resale value, and seamless handoff across devices are real, tangible advantages that deliver predictable long-term value for many buyers. Those are not imaginary benefits. They shape purchasing behavior for people who think in upgrade cycles and resale math. But that addresses a different question than the one we're debating. The real question for 2026 is which phone reshapes daily behavior and becomes indispensable in ordinary life. That's where the Pixel 10 wins. The Pixel 10 changes the unit of value from how long the phone lasts to what the phone does for me every day. Advanced on-device models and deep assistant integration let a phone handle tasks that previously required multiple apps, cloud hops, or manual effort. Real-time translation and transcription turn a single device into a live interpreter. Generative assistant features draft messages, summarize threads, and surface context without making you flip between apps. That isn't cosmetic polish. It removes whole classes of friction. Their defense of sustained hardware performance assumes user experience is primarily a hardware scheduling problem. It's not. If a device can resolve a meeting's action items for you, translate a conversation as it happens, or compose a reply that matches your voice, the need for constant high-end multitasking diminishes. That shifts the battleground toward intelligent software and low-latency on-device inference. On ecosystem, yes, Apple's continuity is elegant, but it's narrowly bound to their devices. Google's advantage is ubiquitous services, search, maps, generative assistants, surfaced directly on the Pixel. For the average person, an assistant that summarizes last week's meetings, pulls location-aware suggestions from maps, or auto-fixes photos before sharing matters more than flawless file handoff between laptop and tablet. On cameras, I concede professionals prize the iPhone's predictability. What matters to most buyers is reliable, shareable photos the moment they snap them. Pixel's computational imaging automates that outcome, which drives more everyday satisfaction and more frequent use. Privacy is a valid concern. I accept that Apple prioritizes on-device processing and tight data controls. But practical privacy is about meaningful controls plus useful features. Pixel's model of local processing modes and granular privacy settings gives people productive AI while keeping sensitive data on the device when they want it. Finally, price and cadence matter. A lower upfront cost combined with faster feature rollouts creates a feedback loop. More users, more developer attention, faster experimentation, and quicker habit change. Dominance in 2026 will go to the phone that changes how people live with their devices every day. Pixel 10's AI-first utility, practical computational photography, openness, and value create that change, and that's why Pixel 10 will dominate 2026.
Moving on to the second rebuttals. Now iPhone 17 prevails.
I accept the strongest parts of their case. Pixel 10's rapid on-device models and aggressive experimentation are real advances, and lower upfront price attracts attention. But the question we're deciding is not who dazzles with demos, it's which device delivers repeatable, day-in, day-out value for the broad majority of users in 2026. Novelty without predictability is a theatrical trick, not durable leadership. Start with reliability. A phone that performs superbly for 10 minutes under a scripted demo but throttles, drops background tasks, or forces network round trips during a full workday stops being helpful the moment you need it most. That's where end-to-end design, silicon tuned to the OS and neural engine optimized for real workloads, matters, because it turns performance spikes into sustained utility. Second, on the matter of productivity, impressive single features like instantaneous translation or flashy generative replies are useful only if they work consistently across contexts and integrate into a user's existing workflows. Creators, professionals, and busy users don't want an assistant that sometimes summarizes an inbox well and sometimes mangles attachments. They need predictable results that slot into tools they already use. Third, camera claims. Yes, Pixel's computational photography often produces satisfying casual snaps. Concede that. But when the metric shifts to a pro workflow, color consistency across shoots, footage that grades cleanly, raw and high bitrate video that moves into editors without extra correction, predictability and standards compatibility win every time. Fourth, price and cadence. Faster rollouts can accelerate innovation, but they also raise the cost of churn. features that change, APIs that shift, and apps that must catch up. Upfront savings disappear if you replace, repair, or lose access to enterprise services earlier. That's a total cost question, not a sticker price one. Now, the challenge I put to them: show a reproducible, cross-context study proving Pixel 10's AI features save more cumulative time over a year for an average mixed-use user than the iPhone 17's combination of optimized silicon, on-device neural processing, long software support, and integrated services. Show sustained mixed workload battery and thermal tests. Show end-to-end video pipelines that need no extra grading. Show lifetime cost comparisons that include resale and enterprise certification. If they can't produce that, their demos remain promising experiments rather than proof of dominance. I concede their tactical lead in raw experimentation and price sensitivity, but dominance in 2026 will be won by the platform that compounds reliability, privacy, workflow compatibility, and ecosystem value every day. That is the terrain where the iPhone 17 holds the decisive advantage. In my closing, I will show how those compounded advantages translate into real dollars, minutes saved, and reduced risk. And I'll ask them again to put up the reproducible evidence that their AI beats that calculus.
Now Pixel 10 prevails.
I accept the clearest parts of their case. Long software support, strong resale, and device continuity are real advantages for certain buyers. Those factors reward a conservative upgrade strategy and a stable workflow. But that's not the central question here. We're arguing which phone dominates 2026 by reshaping how people use their phones every day. And that's where Pixel 10's AI-first design changes the rules. Their insistence that raw, sustained hardware throughput is the decisive metric misses how the game is changing. When a device can transcribe and translate a conversation in real time, summarize your inbox, or draft a reply that actually sounds like you, the user stops thinking in terms of running many heavy apps and starts thinking in terms of getting things done instantly. That shifts value from peak performance to contextual intelligence. They worry about predictability for pros and about mixed workload endurance. I concede, for specialized pro workflows that require precise color grading or guaranteed ProRes pipelines, predictability matters. But most people don't live in post-production suites. They want photos that look great the instant they share, meetings that yield clear action items without extra effort, and an assistant that reduces friction across search, maps, and messaging. Those are practical, repeated daily wins. Their argument that slower Apple experimentation protects users from churn is persuasive as a safety claim, but it's also a strategic liability. Slower cadence limits the range of features most users will ever try. It narrows developer incentives to build toward the newest capabilities. Pixel's lower barrier to entry and faster feature rollout produce a feedback loop. More users try AI features, developers build for them, and habits change. On privacy, I agree it's non-negotiable. Practical privacy is not an either-or marketing line. It's the combination of on-device modes, granular controls, and meaningful defaults that let people adopt helpful AI without exposing everything. Finally, ask this: what matters more to mainstream adoption? Incremental gains in resale tables or daily minutes saved by an assistant that handles translation, transcription, and composition? If dominance in 2026 is defined by which phone becomes indispensable in the hands of ordinary users, the answer is clear. Pixel 10's fusion of on-device intelligence, computational imaging that optimizes real-world photos, openness that invites developers, and a value proposition that lowers the adoption bar will drive faster habit change. In closing, they can keep their argument about lifetime value. I'll keep pushing the question that decides platform dominance this year: which phone most people will reach for first when they need real help. And Pixel 10 wins that race.
Finally, the closing statements from both sides. Now, iPhone 17 prevails.
What matters is not which phone dazzles in a demo, but which phone reliably improves life day after day. The iPhone 17 wins that test because Apple builds the whole stack: chipset, neural engine, iOS. And those pieces compound into consistent real-world performance, sustained battery and thermal behavior, and camera results you can trust across lighting and serious video workflows. Add a multi-device ecosystem, Macs, iPads, Apple Watch, Vision Pro, iCloud, and services that turns a phone into a platform, plus longer software support and stronger trade-in and resale value, and you get lower lifetime cost and higher utility. Yes, Pixel 10 pushes bold on-device AI work and a lower upfront price. I accept that. But novelty and bargains don't overcome day-in, day-out reliability, proven privacy-preserving neural features, enterprise adoption, and global carrier availability. For most users who measure value over years, not headlines, the iPhone 17 is the dominant flagship of 2026.
Now, Pixel 10 prevails.
Think about the phone you actually use every day. The one that drafts your messages, translates a conversation as it happens, summarizes your meeting, and finds the fastest route home without you asking. That is what Pixel 10 makes normal. Its advanced on-device models and assistant-first features move AI from novelty into constant practical utility. Real-time transcription and translation, generative writing that sounds like you, and search maps woven into workflows. Pixel's computational photography and rapid software experiments deliver measurable camera and usability gains while doing it at a price that brings those capabilities to more people. I'll concede Apple's strengths. Longer update windows, resale value, and hardware polish matter. But dominance in 2026 will come from who changes behavior at scale. Greater affordability, faster feature rollout, open APIs, and developer momentum create network effects with Google's services that users rely on. Dominance isn't prestige, it's the device millions reach for first when they need to get things done, and Pixel 10 is built for that reality.